Yeah, buddy. So today is all about these things, frogs. Everybody loves to throw them. Everybody loves the top water blow up. It is what it is. So we're gonna talk about them, all right? So these are the two that I like. These, what is it, Taki or Tiki frogs? Real nice, a little heavier. Typically throw these on a bait caster, being a little heavier. It's what I prefer using with them. That being said, these smaller Booyah frogs, I like them on spinning gear, to be honest. One thing that a lot of people have trouble with is their hook sets on them. Relatively easy to fix. Actually, I'll back up there. So you got your frogs. A lot of people, like I said, I'll use a bait caster. That's what a lot of people are going to use. Some people are going to use spinning gear. I think it's going to be okay. I think the big thing is make sure you have that higher gear ratio, because when you're using a frog, it's grass, there's cover. You want to get them out of there so they don't get tied up. You're going to drag them out. That being said, with dragging them out, I usually run 50-pound braid. Reason for using that 50-pound braid is there's not flex like the monofilament. When you set that hook, you don't want it to, you want it to set when you want it to set. You don't want the stretch to, kind of create some delays. Now that being said, setting hooks. A lot of people complain about setting hooks on frogs. I get it. It is what it is. You want to let them kind of eat it and run away. Get excited. They first blow up. Get all excited. Boom! I don't blame you. I've been there. But you're retrieving that inward. They opened up that mouth and blew it up, and you're yanking it out. It's not on the frog, typically. You want them to blow up, eat it, take it, and hopefully run in a different direction. Sometimes they will run at you, but give it, I'll usually take a deep breath. At the end of that deep breath, I'll set my hooks. A lot of people are going to tell you to bend your hooks for a better hook set. I agree with sometimes. You're not going to hurt it for the most part. It will be less weedless, which is one reason why you're throwing a frog. So before I bend my hooks, I make sure, if you just squeeze on it, if you could squeeze and so it's going to create that space, and if it goes down halfway or more, you're probably okay, because when that fish eats it, they're going to bite down on it, and then it's exposing that hook. Whereas I know on my Tiki here, it's kind of borderline. Could probably use bending these. There's not as much exposed there. And that's kind of where some of the problems are, along with not waiting. And so before you bend your hooks, just do yourself a favor. Go like so. This one is on the edge. We're right about half as far as all that goes. Another thing, I understand the guys that cut tails. I actually cut the tail on this one. This Booyah frog is still, fraction of the size and the same leg length here. I should actually trim it. So when you trim it, there's two ways I like to go about it. You don't have to. You could leave them long. But when you do, my preferred length is just taking it and right even with that nose is where I like to take it, personally. You can go shorter. That's just where I like it. Sometimes if you just popped it or something, that fish might grab the legs, and then it's got to come up here. Like I said, I like to go like that. I know there's some guys, they'll cut it down, but then still take one of them and just go about like another inch. It kind of changes up the retrieve just a little bit. I do like it. I don't run it that way often. I do like it though. When you're retrieving, there's a few different ways that I recommend you could do it. One, just a simple walking it. You could walk it just kind of like a dog leash, walk it however you want. Maybe pause here and there, walk it a little bit. It just creates a nice presentation. Get them to blow up there. Another one, just take it slow. Just slow and steady, maybe a pause here and there. I've caught fish like that. Actually, the pond that I'm at, Some areas I have better luck just going slow, and some areas I'll pop it. Now when it comes to popping it, I try to go up and down with it. If it's weird for you to go up and down while you're retrieving, maybe take it at like a 45 and kind of pop it. 45 or as vertical as you can. I wouldn't go parallel. It just, when you're doing that 45 or specifically vertical, it kind of makes it a little more like a natural presentation, which does help. Now when you're popping it, I don't like to go super fast. I'll still take relatively slow. On the flip side of that, you can just pop, 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 pop. Play with the water that you're at and the fish, their behavior that day and time. I like a pop, pop, pause, and then you to 4 of them, pause a little bit. I really like to pause right as it opens on a grass ledge. It's just nice that way. Oh, my note's turned off. My bad. So, some places where frogs are a good bait to select. So there's plenty of topwater baits. A few of the places I like to select a frog is, well, first one's already rigged up and it's too early in the morning and I only have X amount of time before the wife and kids wake up and start my day. But when I'm being tactful and strategic, pads, if you have them, over weeds, brush piles, there's a bunch of algae growth in here. Docks, flipping them under that dock, it is nice. Heavier structure, all great places. That being said, you want the water temperature to be 55 degrees or warmer. They're not going to be hitting a frog when the water's almost frozen, because they're not wanting to move around, they're lethargic. So like I said, 55 or warmer. I don't personally throw them when the sun is high. You know, sunrise, sunsets. That being said, you can get away with it sometimes on a cloudier day or a day where there's overcast or something. Don't do it on a windy day when the water's choppy. Yeah, I mean, you're creating noise and everything else on the top of that water. That water's already choppy. They're not gonna pay any attention to it. Another thing that does play a role, I mean, you could get as pretty as you want on the tops. I really don't think it matters other than these bottoms. You know, I like a black or a white bottom. Maybe throw some red in with it, some orange, kind of give it a nice presentation. That said, if you're in an area where there's red frogs, actual live red frogs, kind of those goofy looking colors, go ahead and throw something like that, the whole match the hatch thing. But for the most part, when you're fishing them, those fish are just seeing the shadow or the silhouette. I think white provides a good one, black provides a good one. If you got a little bit of sparkly in the leg, awesome. So those are kind of my tips on it. Gotta fish that frog. I think everyone falls in love with the topwater bite, and at that point you spend way more money than you're gonna admit to your wives, but teach your kids so they can make wives upset too, I suppose. So with that, I appreciate you guys coming in. If you would give me a like, subscribe would be awesome, and yeah, stay tuned.